Hello, everybody. My name is Vidya Selvamony. I am a practicing advocate in Bangalore and a visiting faculty at CMR University School of Legal Studies. This video under the Pan-India Legal Literacy and Legal Awareness Program conducted by CEERA National Law School under the aegis of Department of Justice, Government of India. Through this video, I will be discussing the issues pertaining to traffic violations. In India, though it is a well-known fact that traffic violations are not legal, it is also very true that most citizens are unaware of the laws relating to them. In India, some of these traffic violations are controlled by the Motor Vehicles Act 1988. Through my presentation, I will be taking you through the offenses, what constitutes traffic violations, what are the punishments, and how fines can be collected, and are court visits mandatory for these offenses? How are the traffic violations, these cases handled in the court? According to the National Crime Bureau, it clearly shows that 37 deaths per 100 crashes take place. And this broad statistic shows that every year the death rate which is caused due to accidents are increasing over the period of time. So what are the rights? What rights do traffic officers have? The traffic policeman has the right to ask you to check any documents pertaining to your vehicle, or in case of any suspicion, they can also search your vehicle. The traffic police has the authority to seize your vehicle in case of a traffic violation, such as speeding over the limit, jumping the red light, or hit and run, etc. The traffic police officer has a right to confiscate either any person's license based upon any sort of suspicion. He or she has to provide with an acknowledgement. The traffic police has the authority to arrest you without a warrant if you aren't found out to be under the influence of any drug or substance of abuse. Now, what are the rights when stopped by a police officers? While we speak about the police officers have all the rights to search our vehicle, when they ask us, we need to give them all the documents as pertaining to our vehicle, and we should not consume alcohol. They can seize our vehicle. Similarly, there are also certain rights which the common man have. Firstly, we can ask for their identification. We can ask to show their name and their identification to ensure that they are state policemen controlling the traffic. Subsequently, second, we can ask for presenting your driving licenses. When they ask, we can very well show them the driving license which is necessary. But very clearly the act shows it is not necessary. You need to always carry the original driving license. You can also show a photocopy, and these days we can also show a soft copy of a driving license. Then in case if the police officers are not satisfied after we showing all the documents, and if they confiscate our vehicle, they are supposed to give us a acknowledgement card in the form of a receipt for confiscating our vehicle. If we have violated any traffic, and if they catch us, and if they fine us for any amount, we are also supposed to get a receipt for the same. In certain circumstances, if we do not have money when they catch for any sort of violations, we can take the receipt and pay it in the nearest Bangalore 1 or the nearest police station. And cannot tow the car with a person inside. They cannot tow a car with a person inside. When any person is violated the rule, they have to tow the car, telling the person to come along with them, or they can tell them to come behind the car, but along with the person, they cannot tow a car. Before, in case we do not pay the amount, or if we are objecting to certain things, they cannot harass the traffic violators, whereas they can file a complaint against them. And these challans should have a continuity number and a valid number. And you can also pay spot fine. If not, you can go to the nearest Bangalore one or the nearest police station and pay for the any traffic violations. To avoid all these confusions, there are certain documents which we need to carry. In case traffic policeman stops us, we can show all these documents pertaining to the vehicle, which are the registration certificate called as the RC book. We are supposed to carry a pollution control certificate. We are supposed to have a driving license and car insurance policy documents. These are few documents are mandatorily which needs to be kept in our vehicle. And the type of challan which can be issued for any traffic violations are some samples I've just shown you along with this slide, but it is on the spot challan. When a violator is served or notified about the offences committed by him or her on the spot by the concerned police officials, they issue an e-challan. This e-challan is electronic. They have a device which electronically they generate at that particular point of time. What should we check if we receive a traffic violation challan? The first and important thing what we're supposed to check is name and details of the court where the trial will be held, details of offense or violations, date of the trial, name and address of the alleged offender, name and signature of the officer issuing the challan, details of documents required. So these are certain things which will be in this particular challan. If we can just see this challan, it has all these details pertaining to this. It has the name and details of the court where the trial will be held. It has details of the offences, violations. It has date of a particular trial when it will be conducted, the name and address of the alleged offenders, name and signature of the officer issuing this challan, and details of documents required when we are going to collect it. According to your Motor Vehicles Act, these are some sections which talks about what constitutes an offence. According to Section 181 of Motor Vehicles Act, driving without license itself is an offence. Secondly, under Section 183 of the Act, overspeeding of the vehicle when we drive or ride the vehicle more than the prescribed limit, it is an offence. When you are, according to Section 184, dangerous driving is also an offence. 185 talks about drunk and drive, which is prohibited. Section 189 talks about speeding or racing of the vehicles. 192A of the Act talks about vehicles, taking out the vehicles without permit. 194B talks about not wearing seat belt. 194C talks about over seating in two-wheelers. 194D talks about not wearing helmets. 194E talks about not providing way to emergency vehicles. 196 talks about driving without insurance. 199 talks about offences by juveniles. These are few important sections which explains very clearly what constitutes an offence according to your Motor Vehicles Act. Then what are the fines which can be levied for any of these offences which was explained is when two-wheelers ride and pillion not wearing a helmet, the fine which can be collected by the traffic police is 500 rupees and disqualified from holding a driving license for 3 months. Driving without a seat belt, the fine amount is rupees 500. Driving without insurance, two-wheelers, basically 1,000 rupees, and other vehicles, it is 2,000 rupees. Driving without a valid license, for two-wheelers and three-wheelers, the fine amount is 1,000 rupees. For light motor vehicles, it is 2,000 rupees, and other vehicles, it is 5,000 rupees. For overspeeding, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, and LMB vehicles, it is 1,000 rupees, and for other vehicles, it is 2,000 rupees. Driving under influence, first time offense, if you're committing, then the fine amount is 10,000 or imprisonment for 6 months. And consequently, if you continue for second time also, if they are catching you for driving under influence, then it is the fine amount is 15,000 and imprisonment for 2 years. Then triple riding, the fine amount is 2,000 and they can disqualify you from holding a driving license for 3 months from or your commuting services. Using a mobile phone while driving is rupees 5,000. When we tell mobile phone, even we are not supposed to use earphones while driving. Even if you're using hand-free earphones, it amounts to an offense according to Motor Vehicles Act, where you will be liable to pay rupees 5,000 as fine. Then racing, first offense 5,000 rupees fine or imprisonment for a period of 3 months. And if that same time, second time, if they catch you, you have to pay 1,000 rupees fine with imprisonment for 1 year and community services. And dangerous driving, 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers, the fine amount is 1,500. For LMV vehicles, the fine amount is 3,000 rupees. For other vehicles, 5,000 rupees, and consecutive reliefs is 10,000 rupees. For 2-wheeler overloading, the fine amount is rupees 500. Blocking emergency vehicles such as ambulance when they are in emergency to go, and if we are blocking their way, then the fine amount is 1,000 rupees. Driving without permit, the fine amount is 1,000 rupees with or without imprisonment for 6 months and community service. So these are certain fine amounts which it can be legally levied by the policemen when they catch any citizens for violation of traffic rules. It is also considered as a compoundable offense according to Section 200 of the Motor Vehicles Act. The Act talks about offenses for which a spot fine is permitted, which means the driver need not visit courts at all. The violators can pay the fine to the designated officers after the respective state government note, which based on the challan which they give you. The Act mentions 24 categories of offenses, which I just explained some time back, and all these 24 offenses are compoundable in nature and can be solved by paying fine amount. The court, when this court visit takes place is for rest of the motor vehicle cases. Definitely you need to go to the court along with paying fine for any other non-compoundable offenses, which means the violators has to visit the court to pay the challan if the cases the state government cannot fix a penalty that's less than the minimum amount notified by the government. If you do not submit the e-challan on time, your challan is likely to go to the court. Following this, the vehicle owners need to go to the court to pay fine. Even on spot challan is also sent to the court by the traffic police after a period of 60 days, if not paid by the violator. Some violations that need court visits are jumping traffic lights, driving against the flow of traffic, drunk and drive, juvenile driving. And there are also certain cases where, in case if a juvenile is riding or driving a vehicle, and if they meet with accident, their parents are equally accountable for the violations committed by the juvenile. So this brief session is to ensure that everyone are aware what constitutes a traffic violations, and also what is the amount of fine which we need to pay, and during which circumstances we need to go to court to solve these particular problems. These are basic awareness which is necessary for any person who are on road with their vehicle. Thank you very much.